The Crafty Boys is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Our sponsors for this episode, Craftyland, approved by Greta. And now, let's bring in our first hosts. Our first hosts? Our only hosts. Shane and Locke. Because Alan's not here. We don't know where he went. There he is.
Alan?
Well, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to the Crafty Boys. This is the New Year's 2023 to 2024 extravaganza, or the episode title, as we call it, Hey, 2024, you'd better not screw this up. So, hello, boys. We talked last Friday that we were going to potentially do something tonight, and here we are. And, it's New Year's. Now, I got to say, well, New Year's is not quite here for us on the West Coast. But for Locke, it is
it's like we're talking like
17 minutes away.
It is properly getting close to New Year's here. Yep, we are just ticking down the clock. Yep.
So, okay, I'm going to open this up because I was just hanging out with Jules. And
the show.
We were at the red truck across the road. And he made a comment about how people are not celebrating New Year's anymore. Because apparently we're too old. He was lamenting about how there was a time where he would have to decide on what parties he was going to go to, who he was going to hang out with, and he says, like, now in the last 5 years or so, people are not. They just don't party on New Year's at all. So
it's not just an age thing either. Like, my 20-year-old son is at home tonight. He's not doing anything. He's just playing some video games. Same with my 17-year-old son. I think my 24-year-old might have plans, but other than that, they're all staying home.
Okay, 17-year-old son staying home. Sorry, 24-year-old son going out, and the other son is how old?
20.
20.
He says he's tired. He's staying in.
17, I understand. I don't agree because I would have been out drinking at 17, but technically you're not supposed to. So
yeah,
the 20-year-old, I'm curious about why is he so tired?
Well, he's been working a lot.
Okay, yeah,
been working early hours, like starting at 6 a.m. kind of thing, and
right. Oh yeah. Well, being a paramedic, I mean, come on.
Well, no, this is that's my 24-year-old. This is a paramedic. My 20-year-old works at a grocery store.
Okay.
So
it's not age. It's just
age
lifestyle.
Really.
Are you saying lifestyle?
It seems to be. I think it died with Dick Clark, to be honest.
I feel like COVID
really
had an impact there. I got to imagine that in 2019, when 2019 became 2019, I'm sure I must have celebrated that shit. Where the fuck was I?
I haven't really gone to a good, proper New Year's Eve party in probably about 10 years.
So you're saying that the party we went to last year, did we actually spend the entire time all the way to midnight, or did we go home early?
We did. But that wasn't
okay.
really a party.
It was hanging out. That's true.
I mean, a good, proper, house bashing party.
Is part of the problem interconnectedness globally. So because people like us are dealing with different time zones, nobody's sure when to party because it's sort of like, but it's all sort of relative, isn't it? It's New Year's here, but it's been 2024 in Australia for hours.
Actually, it's funny you mention that because this morning, or was it this afternoon? No, it was this morning. I did look out. I did a Google search saying when is actually the first human populated area that hits the next year, and the Line Islands, which are a bunch of atolls or atoll.
Are they an atoll? Yeah. Are they the Line Islands because of the international date line?
No, no, it's named after some dude, but essentially that's the first place where people actually start celebrating. But it's been what, I guess it's what, 18, 19, 20 hours ahead. So, there's like almost a full day of our experience of 2024. But of course, in growing up, people always thought about New Zealand. New Zealand was the first place it happened, but no, it is definitely not that. I just got a message from Todd, friend of the show, who is sad that he is sad that the final season of Letterkenny is now available on Crave. A question: I've actually never watched Letterkenny. Have you watched it?
I have watched an entire one episode. I would watch more.
He's very sad about this.
Plausibly. As Canadian content television goes, I don't rate it as highly as Call Me Fitz, but it's good. It's the episode that I saw. They were explaining what it was a hot woman. I think she was wearing lingerie. Maybe I'm just imagining that she was wearing lingerie, explaining to a community hall full of men that it is not sexist to make appreciative comments over a woman looking foxy if the woman approves of those comments. You don't get to decide whether or not she's offended. She decides whether she's offended. Yeah?
Okay, all right.
I saw it was a number of years ago.
In my books, yeah.
The first season was available for free on the Comedy Network, and the Comedy Network was having like their free preview thing over Christmas. So I was able to watch the first full season then. I really liked the show. I didn't like it enough to pay for Crave to watch the rest of it, but it was good from what I saw.
The only bit that I've seen was a YouTube clip that I think Todd sent me. That they were sitting around in lawn chairs in front of a barn.
That's typical.
I don't remember what they talked about, but
it's pretty fast paced. The dialogue is pretty fast paced.
In front of barns, don't remember what they talked
about.
That's a good point.
Lots of Canadianisms in it. I mean, I really liked it. I don't think it's the best thing that has ever been produced in Canada by a long shot, but it is very good.
What would you rate as top Canadian content TV wise?
Red Green.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if we're talking about
for me, and this is a personal decision, that it's Kids in the Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm thinking. Well, actually, yeah, but I'm thinking about specifically a television program that you could watch and know it's Canadian because it is dealing with Canadian stuff, where, in my opinion, Kids in the Hall, you could mistake them for being American. They were pretty generic.
There
were some things that were Canadian, but not the whole show premise, right? I'm talking about like Due South, a character that is obviously supposed to be Canadian. However, it takes place in not European. It takes place in a U.S. city, if I remember, like Chicago or Boston.
Okay, if that's
hard to find content that doesn't fall on the wrong side of that line, though. I mean, think about Trailer Park Boys. That could be anywhere.
True. That is true. Trailer Park Boys would also fall.
It isn't anywhere. It is in Nova Scotia, but it could be anywhere.
So by your criteria, Shane, that eliminates things like SCTV and
SCTV's out. Littlest Hobo's out. I don't know. I honestly, I mean, I've never watched Corner Gas.
Corner Gas. If this is our criteria, I would say Corner Gas.
Would that be like? Do they actually talk about them being Canadian?
I should watch an episode and find out.
I mean, it takes place in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, but do they actually say it's Saskatchewan? Okay. All right. So so that show, Kim's Convenience, maybe,
No.
which I've not seen a lot of, maybe 2 or 3 episodes. There's There's also what's that other show?
Anna
Schitt's
Green
Creek.
Gables.
Schitt's Creek.
Oh, Schitt's Creek.
Oh, I
But you know what?
hadn't
Schitt's
thought
Creek
of Anna
doesn't
Green
really
Gables.
advertise itself as being in Canada.
Yeah, I know they do acknowledge early on that they're in
I'm sorry.
Ontario, but I don't
On the one
think
hand,
they
on the
talk
one
about it
hand-
much after that.
Yeah, on the one hand, we're shifting genres here a bit because so far we've mostly been talking about a certain type of television. We're talking about sort of sitcom-ish kind of fare.
True.
And to be clear, the one that I'm about to mention, when it's in Canada, it's very specifically and very acknowledgingly in Canada, but it also has, stuff going on in other locations around the planet. But Orphan Black,
Which I think I've seen.
I have not.
I
have not.
I don't.
Seen it.
I don't know. There. I remember the episode
at least
because
in the first couple of seasons, they're really absolutely clearly in Toronto, right?
Well, because I remember watching that show, but yeah, probably not quite the end of the first season. I think it might have been close because I know that they were kind of leading up to the big reveal of finding out that she was like a duplicate or whatever. So, but that actually, your mentioning of that show actually reminded me of the show Millennium, which was a show that was based in Vancouver. The police station was VFS downtown. But there was also actually another show that had the same location as anyway. But they did say they were in Canada. They said that they when they acknowledged stuff, it was, we got to go to the corner of 31st and Main because of reasons. But then I thought of the other show that also did something very similar, which was Da Vinci's what was it called? Da Vinci's
Inquest or something?
That's the one. Yeah, Da Vinci's Inquest. Yeah, which was also like a character who was the. Now they're in a special category, I guess, to a certain degree, because the show is about a real person who did that job in Vancouver, in the 80s or 90s or whatever. So I guess that counts. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to solidify my criteria here because I want to make sure that it's like a Canadian show that talks about being in Canada, but does I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess that does work. So I can't think of any other real Canadian fare that Beachcombers, I guess, as well. We're going backwards in time.
Beachcombers is pretty way cool.
Yeah. Beachcombers is very Canadian.
There was a show called Lex at one point, except that was a sci-fi that I think was filmed partly in Victoria.
So not really about Canada. It's about outer space.
No, I'm trying to think of that was definitely about space, but I can't think of anything else. There must be other things. I just can't think of them. But overall, the new year is going to introduce a whole bunch of new television programs that I think that all Canadians should watch. The first one, which I have written down here. All right, here we go. The show is called. Oh shit!
That's an interesting name for the show.
It is called the Crafty Boys Mysteries. So that means that all of us here are going to be solving crime. Do you think we could pivot our podcast to become a beer drinking show that solves crime? Like a
kind of like Scooby-Doo?
the real crime sort of fighters, that kind of thing. The Hardy Boys, as it were. So yeah, we could be like a real crime beer drinking podcast. What do you think?
Sure.
I could potentially see it being a conflict if I became a crown prosecutor, which I'm thinking I might actually do. But
okay, Well, you could bring us the
But
juiciest
I am
crimes.
interested in this concept and would be willing to try on that hat depending on how this all plays out. Maybe
Well, I just
should
picture this.
that first, and we'll knock it off into 2025, and then maybe at that point I'll have some experience with this stuff, so I'll be able to be more informative.
That's true. You could go. We could do like cold cases from Canadian crime past.
Oh yeah,
And because those kinds of things are really popular, where we could do things like
yeah.
It all began on a Sunday afternoon. The boys were at the local pub. They overheard at the next table something about a crime.
Mm.
I'm trying to do my sort of best real crime. Here's the thing. I've actually never listened to real crime podcasts because I don't care.
No.
They're very popular, and I've never really they don't catch my attention, I guess. Have you guys listened to any?
No.
Not at all. Like none? Do you listen to podcasts at all?
Well,
No.
okay, all right. No. No, there's a video blog that I was watching for a while on Canadian organized crime, and you know who the various organizations are, what their history is, what happened, how did they become notable, what is publicly available in terms of information about them. Sort of interesting, biker gangs, triads, various indigenous, crime syndicates, a sort of weird outfit called the Scorpion. I think the Red, are they the Red Scorpions, or are they just the Scorpion gang? I can't remember, but like sort of halfway between a biker gang and professional wrestlers.
Right. I'm
You
going
know,
to
like,
pause you there for a second.
This happens in Canada that way,
Pause for a moment because we have less than a minute.
Oh.
I think my clock
Yeah,
just ticked
yeah.
over. I need a second countdown. Here we go.
Mine
Oh no,
still
wait,
says
sorry, I'm
3:58.
a minute and a half. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I just thought you should know because we got to get ready for this. So here you go. Here's what we're gonna have there.
Okay. Oh,
What the fuck was that?
sorry, excuse me.
That is not what I thought was gonna happen there.
We are
Is
1
that
minute.
the saddest
away.
air horn you've ever heard?
Yes.
It's like somewhere between an air horn and a kazoo.
All right, so 40 seconds, 45 seconds remaining. So, are we going to do any New Year's resolutions this year, or are we just going to do what we always do, which is like
Do what we usually do.
do what we usually do?
We never stick to
Basically
the
nothing.
resolutions
Right,
anyways.
what do we usually do?
I'm making it up as I
Nothing.
go. I don't know.
Well, let me say this.
How many seconds?
15 seconds.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8,
8,
7,
7,
6,
6,
5,
5,
4,
4,
3,
3,
2,
2,
1. It's New Year's!
One.
Yay!
Happy New Year, Locke,
Thank you.
and everybody in Eastern Canada.
Yeah.
Welcome to everybody in Eastern Canada. However, it's probably been New Year's for a little while in the farthest reaches of our
In
country.
New
in these-
Brunswick and Nova Scotia, they're all laughing at us, going, fucking slow.
Yeah, you
folks.
guys
We beat
suck.
Yeah.
So we are, of course,
3 hours away.
3 hours away from our New Year's, but that's okay. So no resolutions at all. Nothing. I mean, I don't think we should have them, but there you go.
But here's a good thing. Locke, right now, you have a 3-hour jump on us to be able to use Mickey Mouse in the public domain.
Specifically,
Steamboat Willie.
the Steamboat Willie. However, have you ever watched the Walt Disney Animation Studios introduction with their
No.
logo displayed?
No.
I have been very interested in this because I'm a nerd online and people always ask me these questions. But essentially, so what has happened?
Practitioners?
When Disney started about 5 or 6 years ago, they changed the Walt Disney Animation Studios logo to feature Steamboat Willie above the, like, whenever time you see the logo, Steamboat Willie is doing his thing. The very beginning, a part of the most famous part of that particular animated series. And so what happens is that because it's a part of a logo, it is now falling under the trademark part of the world rather than because the character itself, that version of Mickey is of course in the public domain now. But if you do anything with it, they could probably attack you with a trademark violation. So, yeah, I thought that was brilliant on the part of Disney.
Yeah. Their lawyers are not sleeping at the wheel.
Exactly, because they've been doing that for a while. Like, it's not just they didn't start it this year, but it's been going. It's probably been, as I said, like 5 or 6 years. Because I remember reading about it. It started in like 2015 or 2013 or something. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting about how that actually works, because how do you defend against your usage of somebody's public domain character if it's part of a trademarked logo? Because trademark doesn't have a limitation, as far as I'm aware, in terms of time. So
No.
as long as you're, I guess, willing to enforce it, and I suspect Disney would.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of interesting. Now, granted, does that cover only the animated part of it? Like, is that character, like, are other characters, like Minnie Mouse is also in Steamboat Willie? Like, there's other characters that are contained within. So
Yeah,
I'm assuming that they don't.
I think there's a lot that wouldn't catch, but yeah, I mean, I think they're doing. They're making the strongest claim that they're able to under the current regime. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, the thing is, Donald Duck apparently goes into public domain next year.
Sorry, what does?
Yeah,
Donald Duck.
Donald Duck.
So I mean, it's gonna catch up with Disney on all their popular characters eventually.
All right, so things entering the public domain in 2024. I'm just pulling up the list that I bookmarked.
There's something that a lot of people don't understand about these sort of property rights, and that is that, for the most part, the only reason that they exist is they were established under public policy rules, right? They weren't theological in origin, like, you're not allowed to murder people. That's theological, right? We've softened that considerably. Well, you can murder them in these circumstances, and it's treated differently than if you murder them in these circumstances or whatever. But in terms of where the origin of intellectual property rights, are sort of derived, there is, I think, a very strong argument that they're past their best before date. They're no longer serving the public interest that was claimed under the Hogarth Act, for example. So copyright would be an example of that. Now, trademark's a little different, because that's a little bit more like something that finds its origin in heraldry.
My mom is watching. Mom, hi! I'm on TV.
Which is down to royal authority, which is essentially military authority. So, to the degree that a trademark is enforceable, you need to be able to enforce your right to that heraldry presumably through force of arms or through the force of arms of the king's peace, right? So that's how that would work in this jurisdiction, where there's no king anymore. Can you really enforce a heraldry? I don't know. Presumably in the U.S., they have some department that deals with American. Do they have heraldry as such, or is it like whatever symbols and signs they use, like, you know, the swastika? No, sorry, the eagle holding the fascia, or, you know, the whatever the thing that's not that's supposed to make them, you know, about America. There must be a department that deals with that, and I'm presuming that it has enough established connection. It would be part of the executive. So enforcement is pretty much, you know, sort of their whole game. So it's really down to force of arms is sort of the origin of trademark rights.
Okay.
Disney, as a national champion, could probably take advantage of that. I'm just speculating here in terms of the history of intellectual property rights and how those would work if you were to try to undress theoretical underpinnings. But that's my thought on that.
Okay. Well, here's a list of things that are going into the public domain in Ontario right now.
Okay.
Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence is going into the public domain. The Three Penny Opera, which I remember studying in university, by Brecht, is going into the public domain. Virginia Woolf's Orlando. That fascinates me. I hadn't even realized how old that was. I mean, it's obvious, but still. All Quiet on the Western Front is going into the public domain. House at Pooh Corner, where the character of Tigger was introduced. So that's headed into the public domain. Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up by J.M. Barrie, is going into the public domain. The Well of Loneliness by Radcliffe Hall. Decline and Fall by Evelyn Waugh. Robert Frost's West Running Brook is going to the public domain. But my favorite, though, is Agatha Christie's The Mystery of the Blue Train is entering into the public domain, which I think some of her work has already gone into the public domain, if I remember correctly, just because of when they were published. Steamboat. Oh, sorry?
You know which of Agatha Christie's titles have gone into the public domain?
Aside from that one, let's take a look. Let's see. So
I guess what I'm asking is Murder on the Orient Express and A Haunting in Venice. Are those titles that are captured by that or not? I'm trying to get a sense of why those films were made when they were made.
I will have to look it up. I don't actually know.
You don't know. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
But anyway, so Steamboat Willie, Charlie Chaplin's his work The Circus is coming into the public domain. A ton of films that came out way back when. The Singing Fool, which is a follow-up or a sequel to The Jazz Singer, which I thought was interesting. But another favorite of mine here, though, is where is it? Yeah, there it is. Animal Crackers, which is a musical by the Marx Brothers, which I've watched a couple times over the years. That's going into the public domain. And I think, is it next year? But I believe that, or is it this year? But The Wizard of Oz is going into the public domain.
I think it's next year or the year after.
Is it? Yeah, that might be right, because I don't recall it being this year. But yeah, so these are kinds of things. So basically, these are like films that are going to the public domain.
Sorry, we're talking about the film The Wizard of Oz, not the published.
Correct.
Literature.
Yes.
Yeah.
The published work has been in the public. That's been out there for a long time. But yeah, so some of these things, there's a lot of sound albums going in the public domain, of course, by artists I've never heard of, because It was the 20s. Um, so what else? What else? Mickey and Disney, the 95-year love triangle. But there's also some of those characters in that as well that are going. So anyway, so what can you do now? Here we go. This is actually an article I've never read before, but it does actually kind of illustrate what I was saying earlier. So here you go. So this is basically what you can and cannot do with Mickey Mouse as of January 1st. You cannot use Mickey in a way that misleads consumers into thinking your work is produced or sponsored by Disney.
Yeah. That'd be like sparkling wine champagne.
Yeah. So you're free to copy, share, and build on Mickey Mouse 1.0. So basically, I don't know. I think if anyone does anything that Disney doesn't like, they're going to come after you with some sort of trademark violation.
Yes, which is more than likely just what do they call it? Ad terrorum, which is to say that they're just trying to scare you.
Well, exactly, because I don't think as long as you're not trying to.
Well, look, I mean, here's the thing: you get an entire building floor of lawyers up against you if it's just a building floor and not 6 building floors, and you're a guy, and you're like, the law's on my side. There are 6 floors of lawyers who are going to say that it isn't. It'd be a brave man who's like, yeah, fuck him. Or a stupid one.
Either way. But this kind of thing, like Winnie the Pooh went into the public domain a couple of years ago. And then that allowed that Winnie the Pooh slasher film to get created.
Yes, but they. Well, here I will show you.
Well, the Hanna-Barbera one was the one that did my head in, but that they licensed, didn't they?
The Hanna-Barbera one, I think so. It's called Winnie the Pooh: Blood and Honey. So. This is actually fascinating because I've loved this whole idea. So basically, Winnie the Pooh: Blood and Honey came out earlier this year, and basically, somebody dressed up as Winnie the Pooh and another character dressed up as Piglet go on a slashing killing spree.
Charitable.
It has a sequel coming. Now, they do actually mention on Wikipedia about the whole thing about copyright. But there's a couple of things that are fascinating. Is that if you see the logo here, the logo has Winnie-the-Pooh, which is how it is characterized or marketed as, and that apparently is the big differentiating. We're not violating anyone's property. It's not Winnie the Pooh. It's Winnie-the-Pooh. So there's these sort of weird things that, when things are in the public domain, but there are companies like Disney that still own their version of that public domain property. That's where things get sticky. So there's so many things you could take and rewrite.
So starting next week, we're going to introduce a new Crafty Boy. So we're going to go back to 4 people. We're going to have Mickey the Mouse. It's going to be appearing regularly.
Actually, we can't use that tone of voice because that would be copyright potentially, since it's still used. However, he could become like, I don't know. Remember Chuck E. Cheese?
Well, okay. Oh, no. Alan's wearing a Rush t-shirt. He could just be playing Geddy Lee.
Yeah.
Sure, that covers us. I think we're fine then. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, this is the thing about the whole culture, right? Or about culture in general, is that a lot of the bulk of. I mean, no one's going to sit around and tell me that Shakespeare didn't use things that were in the public domain.
Oh
before
hell
that,
yeah,
right?
Murder of Gonzaga.
So you know,
Disney
Yeah.
did it.
there are tons of things. Well, yeah, Disney. A lot of the stuff they've done is all public domain, grim kind of stories,
Yeah.
as in the Grimm brothers. Oh my god! But
Yeah, well,
But
we
yeah,
should
I
have
mean-
we should have a word with Israel. You can't conquer Gaza. That's Alexander the Great's thing. You're just ripping off Alexander the Great. It's already part of Greece. Or sorry, Macedonia.
didn't he weep once? Yeah. That went totally into a place I didn't even know where it was going to go.
Sorry, too soon. Too soon.
Good Lord. I ran out of my brain here. So overall, no resolutions for the Crafty Boys.
No.
We're
No.
going to start having a character come in. Oh. Talk amongst yourselves. So I just had a thought.
Shane's
Uh,
had, breathing-
Talk. I'll be right back.
So we're supposed to talk now. Live.
Alan, come on. Oh. Give us a no.
I don't know what he's
Say oh.
going to
Say oh.
do here. So, but
Everybody, but we all have to say oh. You have to say oh too.
oh.
There we go. There we go. Go.
There we go. All right. Now I got to come up with something here to talk about because Shane is he's got an idea.
I have an
doing
idea.
something.
I have an idea.
I'm kind of waiting with bated breath
Oh.
here. So, Locke, have you been on vacation at all?
Have I been on vacation? I need a vacation for my fucking vacation, dude. It has been sufficiently vacationy around here that I have not had, like breathing spaces being limited. So check it out. I finally defeated the fucking thing. I killed the
There you go. Right. Oh, it's off the ceiling now.
Yeah. I was pressing the button and it would give me this grace period where it would shut the fuck up instead of going beep, replace alarm, replace alarm, beep, replace alarm. So it would give me like an 8-hour grace period, but it stopped doing that. And so I would climb up on the ladder, go all the fucking way up there, hit the button, and it would keep doing it. And so finally I'm like, I am going to rip this out of the ceiling because it wasn't twisting the way it should. And then finally I got a small hammer and whacked the fucker. And then I twisted it and then it came off. And then I could unplug it. And then it started screaming in the most powerful, high-pitched voice that it could. And you press the button. No, just nothing would turn it off. So I buried it under a pile of towels and locked it in the bathroom. And I could barely hear it still, but it got me through the night.
Why didn't you take out the battery?
Because you cannot take out the battery. It's like a Mercedes Benz or an Audi or even a Volvo nowadays. Like you open the hood and it's hermetically sealed. You're not supposed to fuck with the battery. Like you can't even open the hood on this. Like it's sealed in. It's a 10-year battery, so they say, and you don't replace the battery. You replace the entire unit because if you replace the battery, then their recurring revenue doesn't exist. You're just replacing the battery. Whereas if you have to replace the unit because the battery's locked inside, then they have recurring revenue, don't they?
I guess.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would need to find another type of smoke detector to install.
Yeah.
Meaning you have to rip out the guts of the whatever housing is you've installed previously with screwdrivers and fucking nails and shit. So are you going to do that work? No, you're not going to do that work because you're on the ceiling. So you replace the unit. Now, is there a replacement unit? I'm still finding that out. Well, I'm going to I gave them a call today, but they're not open until Tuesday, so we'll find out. But it is finally shut the fuck up. So that sorry, I don't remember where we started down this road, but
we're just killing time for Shane here.
Shane, were you gonna
this is fascinating. Keep going.
Anyway, so yeah, so it's the modern curse of everything must be disposable because recurring revenue for whoever's selling it. So whatever it is built to, like, if they could make a battery last for 20 years, you think they would? Well, no. They want you to replace it in 10 years because they don't want to get paid in 20 years. They want to get paid in 10 years. Shit, 20 years away, somebody may have changed the technology. Maybe wood won't burn anymore. Right? They, like.
Why do witches burn?
I've run out of ideas. There is a thing we could do, but it's gonna take too long to
Intellectual
set it up.
property.
So
That's
never
why
mind.
witches burn.
That's right.
Well, whatever Shane was going to do.
I have this software that could make virtual characters, which I, in theory, could add to the show. However, it would take too much time because I was thinking I could just grab Steamboat Willie and throw it into the thing, but no, I forgot there's a 3D element to it, and it would just take too long. So
next
so
time.
that way, so you could actually have a fourth camera here with a character. Of course, you have to supply it with a voice, and that would be difficult too.
Yeah. What we need is a large-breasted woman character on this to attract some viewers other than Linda.
Have any of you become aware of the AI image generator platform Sexy AI? Sexy.ai?
Why am I not surprised you know about this? Okay, keep going.
Well, look. If you're looking for free image generators to explore what AI can do, and I stress the point that you don't want to pay for them because you're still skeptical as to whether this is just an entirely dead end of human endeavor that
What am I looking at? What the hell?
So you can ask it to generate porn. Now the problem with asking it to generate porn is it generates porn very, very badly. And porn is usually pretty lowest dregs of production values anyway. So why the fuck would anybody do that? Unless you're using it to generate, something totally different. Transformer robots, sexy transformers, basically. Or another use case, watercolors by Matisse of a gorgeous lake scenery. And what you will get is porn that looks like that, right? Which is sort of funny. You could probably do Steamboat Willie having fun with Minnie Mouse, and you would get something probably fairly provocative.
Minnie Mouse having fun with
would it be subject potentially to lawsuits? Only if you published it, I think.
I think Shane told them to make that picture,
So-
and they did.
So here, so I'm using Sexy AI.
Okay.
So I said, It's Steamboat Willie having fun with Minnie Mouse, and that's what it gave me.
Yeah. You see what I mean? Like it's
Oh my god.
That's probably the sexiest picture I've ever seen.
Oh.
But if you don't want to pay to try out AI image generation, it's like I said, it's sort of a gray area. So nobody's racing to the profit point as quite the way they are if over at Microsoft.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Well, yeah,
So-
you can just imagine what they do, further along that channel. I mean,
Well, I mean, the demos at the very top are, typical. I mean, what else do people do with AI or with any tool that they get first? Like they're going to be like, okay, let's totally do that thing. Porn is like the first thing that happens. It doesn't matter. It's like going to be the very first AI robot that looks human and acts human. The first thing that's going to happen is people are going to try and screw it. So, it's not going to be, it's like, oh, I need to make it really strong and durable and really intelligent to save burning children, children from a burning house. But no, it's going to be like, how big are his boobs and how many vaginas are we going to give it?
I mean, look, let's be clear about something that is one of the most fundamental, and it has existed through, I think, probably an entire century of popular culture. Think back to Metropolis. One of the fundamental premises of AI is that the first thing that artificial intelligence will replace is the working class. And then it's going to sneak its way into the middle class. And then finally, in the upper stages of its development, it might even replace, the artists and the philosophers. No, actually, it's replaced the artists and the philosophers first. What it can't fucking do is build a brick wall.
Well, I mean, an argument
It
could be
maybe
made
can
that-
if you attach it to a large 3D printer,
true.
Yeah,
I mean, here's
like
the
a
thing, right?
construction grade.
It's still not
3D
going
printer.
to. Nobody thinks that's economical yet. Probably
Well,
might not be ever.
Suppose, but I mean, here's the thing, though. There's going to be, you're going to have anything that can be done could eventually be done by some automated process. So,
Presumably,
like,
yeah.
if we think that AI could not possibly replace, I don't know, something. Given enough time, somebody's going to build a machine that'll do exactly that. I mean, for the film from 2017 called Logan, there is this, we had this idea right now that self-driving cars are never going to really happen for quite some time. But in Logan, there's actually a scene where they are trying to dodge around. I think they're crossing the street or a highway, or I forgot exactly what the point was. But essentially, they were driverless vehicles that were basically 18-wheeler parts with wheels that had no cab, no driver, nothing. They just kind of zoomed along the highway and zoomed at very high speed because all it was competing with were other machines doing the same thing. Also in that film, there was the farming thing where farmers didn't really have to do anything anymore. They just kind of had these large machines that were hovering in the sky that were farming land and harvesting and replanting. And so there's also, right now, we have industrial 3D printers, like Alan was saying, that are 3D printing with concrete. Granted, I don't know how. Like, there must be some processing after the fact. Like, it lays things out. We probably have to cut holes and to insulate or whatever. But
Put it this
still,
way,
it could be done.
you can 3D print concrete. Be
Yeah.
one thing. 3D printing a brick wall means that it has to 3D print mortar, and then it needs to lay bricks along the mortar.
Well,
appropriately.
again, I think that'll eventually happen. Like, there will be a
But-
device
but
machine thing that'll do it.
Well, it could, but what I'm saying is, if you actually undress the number of steps that you need to actually go through in order to make
True.
sure that the mortar isn't just laid flat and then you've got layers of brick. No, the layers of brick need to have mortar between the bricks. So you need to have it
Yeah.
sophisticated enough that it could put the mortar between the bricks.
Oh, all I'm saying is that
Not
eventually
leaving
that'll
the
happen,
skin on
right?
the outside. I mean, it's not as easy as it sounds, I guess is what I'm saying. What
No.
we're discovering is that skilled trades actually require more specific engagement with your environment than just coming up with a good idea or drawing a picture of something.
True. I mean, that is very true, because there's going to be, like you said, there's going to be elements of an activity that are going to have to be mapped out, but also have to be adapted as well.
Well,
So-
to the physical, apparatus that actually puts that mortar in the middle bits between the bricks as you're laying them, right? Like
Well, last
if a
night,
machine
actually,
can do that effectively without making a fucking mess and screwing up every 15 minutes so that somebody's got to fix it. It's not as easy as it sounds.
Well, last night I watched a film called The Creator, which is a film it's on Disney Plus, I think. But basically, it's a film about AI, and it's far into the future. I think we're talking like 100 years or something. But essentially, AI body run these bodies. There's different types of bodies that the AI live in. Some are very robotic, some are not so. Some are very human. But the most interesting
They
thing
have-
was,
Pleasure models.
well, yeah, people get married to these things. So,
Oh wow, okay.
So there's a lot of discussion in this film about that kind of stuff, and there's like a great scene where basically the U.S. is going to war with everybody because the U.S. hates AI. But essentially, long story. It's a very good film. Like it's. I'm not dissuading you. I'm just saying that there are some things that are a bit weird. But the one thing that I found interesting is there's a great scene of military AI robots that are basically bombs on legs, which practicality seemed like kind of a stupid device to create, but whatever. Because as this thing is running at you, about to explode in your face, you could in theory shoot at its legs and stuff like that. But I highly recommend it. Like there's a lot of little moments like that about AI being used for certain things, some that are practical, some that aren't, and what does that actually mean for like the working class being replaced by robotic slave sort of things. So I don't know. Do you guys fear AI at all? Like, I don't think we're going to be running into the Terminator anytime soon, but there is kind of that Skynet concern where it's like, will they ever decide, hey, AI should help us run nuclear weaponry? Or
do I fear AI? Yes, absolutely. Do I fear AI any more than I did 20 years ago? No.
Right.
Yeah, it's the same AI. It used to exist in our heads and in books, and it's externalized itself to a fair degree. But artificial intelligence is still artificial intelligence. It's not like there's anything new under the sun that we haven't dealt with in our long history. It's that it's happening faster.
Yeah,
faster does mean that it's harder to navigate and appropriately respond to. To that degree, is it going to make a mess? Likely so. But we've been through that cycle before. I mean, what was Gutenberg? I mean,
True.
look at the distance between the Gutenberg press and the 30 Years' War, and I think you've got kind of,
It's going to be messy.
kind of where we are now. Like what we're looking forward to is that any radical change in the way we exchange information with each other is likely to lead to us squabbling. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not fearful of like a Skynet kind of thing with like AI taking over the world and deeming humans as being unnecessary. I'm concerned about the economic implications. If AI is replacing workers, if people can't get jobs and they can't make money to buy food and all that, we're just going to have to rethink how we manage our economy, and that won't happen easily. There will be a long period of time where there's people going to be destitute, unable to make ends meet, and basically fighting with each other to get a little crumb in a little morsel to eat. And I think what we're going to move towards is more of like a Star Trek kind of thing where there is no money, or maybe food and shelter and stuff isn't monetized anymore. It's not commercialized anymore. I don't know what the answer is, but I think there's going to be hell to pay economically.
400 years ago on the planet Earth, workers who felt their livelihood threatened by automation flung their wooden shoes called sabot into the machines to stop them, hence the word sabotage.
Here's my take on it. Communism is a likely probability under the same terms that that people like the people like the post-Marxists imagined it to be, like people like Habermas, or maybe like Habermas was a bit there were things about Habermas that were a bit daft, to be fair, but creative destruction, what's his name, you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, my point being, like, the likely position of humanity, I think a century or two from now, will likely look more like something that's a comprehensive plan that's a little bit closer to something, effectively that you might describe as a type of communism, provided that first there is an absolute exodus, removal, and determined eradication of all Marxists. If you got rid of all the Marxists, communism might be possible. As long as they're still trying to fucking stage a revolution, yeah, fuck, that shit's not going to happen. There's still fucking tantrum throwing children that want to bitch about, well, that guy's got this and I don't. Fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, for something Star Trekian type of communism to work, you would need to outline a method by which you can do that without revolutionary tactics, if you see what I mean, or even a revolutionary intent. In fact, the revolutionary intent is the single thing that prevents such a scheme from ever working. Because as long as you're trying to get the other guy, he's gonna fucking try to get you. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if everybody could relax and figure out that, oh right, yeah, we actually are in this together, aren't we? Sort of maybe a little closer to what Adam Smith called enlightened self-entrance, right? Which is to say, the enlightened part is that we recognize that we're all in it together. Then that's a plausible outcome. to the degree that we're still trying to throw revolutions all the time, yeah, it's not going to happen, is it?
Basically, we need to nuke ourselves to get to that point.
Or just relax a bit. Just step back from the plate and go, oh, okay. Let's take a minute, you know? Well, instead of constantly fucking badgering each other and trying to get on each other's, you know, if instead of trying to pick away at what we perceive as being the enemy, and start treating those people as somebody that we need to negotiate with, and that we don't have an option about that. Yeah, okay. I mean, plausibly, I don't see. Put it this way: competition works as long as competition is competition rather than eradication. The problem is once you get to, you know, competition is so fierce that people are trying to do each other in. That's now you're back to brute force warfare, right? Like you're just trying to eradicate the other guy. If you can figure out that in order for this to work, we need to negotiate a settlement that everybody can live with. That's a whole different proposition, and none of the political spectrum of humanity are up for that yet, because they're too addicted to politics. They're too addicted to the idea that they can win.
It's true.
And the problem is nobody's going to win, and in order for nobody to lose, nobody can win. You see how that is?
Which basically means we're fucked.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I suspect the lessons of the latter half of the 21st century will probably be harsh ones. Maybe by the 22nd century, we'll have our shit sorted out.
I would hope. We won't be around to see it, but you know, one can hope.
Yeah. It's sort of like that. What was it?
Maybe by then AI will have solved all of our problems. Like maybe AI can come up with solutions that allows humanity to survive without problems. Maybe AI could come up with like a plan for interstellar travel. Like we could make starships and go out to the cosmos.
Well, let's see.
Pollute the shit out of it too.
I do actually have a photograph here. Where is it? This is a computer that's being built. And it's supposed to be incredibly powerful. And the AI they want to really have this machine do, like all of the big players are behind this solution, right? So here's the photograph. It is a very powerful machine. It is supposed to do exactly what we're talking about, solving humanity's problems. It's called the M5. And I gather it is a very intelligent machine that can basically run your society. So would we want to have this occur?
As long as we can decide whether or not to enact what its advice is, then I don't see a problem with it.
Okay, well, actually, there is some of the decisions that have been made so far by this machine in its testing phase. So let's. I have some documents here. Where is it? Here we go. So this machine here made a lot of really good decisions based on you know how the Federation. Oh no, wait, is this? Oh, the M5. That's right. It destroyed an entire society. Oh, okay. All right then. So basically,
okay. So this is fictional, is what you're saying.
I thought you of all people would have figured out what
I was gonna
doing.
say that looks like something from Star Trek. Jesus.
Yeah, so the M5 destroyed. It made some very poor choices. So yeah, so there you go. You go. Wow, of all the jokes that I wanted to make, Alan was supposed to sell it and be like, "Oh, come on." Like, no. It's been a while. So yeah, so basically, I don't know. I think you're right. I think that in the first stage of dealing with how this stuff is going to work is we're going to have to really consider, as you were saying, Locke, like, everyone's in it for the, we're all in this together. That's sort of a very, basic universal income or whatever it's called. Is sort of a first step to that.
Yeah. I'm highly supportive of that on the simple basis that if you want to live in a comfortable society, you don't want people at your feet who want to kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just watched an episode of Deep Space Nine where a transporter accident sends them back to 2024, which I laughed at because this was only the other day that I saw this. Where basically they were creating ghettos for homeless people or people that had found themselves without a job and had nowhere to live. Because they were losing jobs because of machinery and stuff like that, replacing these low-level jobs and or highly skilled jobs that still, could be easily replicated with a machine.
But there was all these bricklayers going,
and that was
everywhere.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
all these bricklayers. I'm totally fine. Get the mortar out, Jim. But that's, I mean, but that sort of thing is that they were throwing people into ghettos that they called sanctuary zones in Deep Space Nine. And they really were having this conversation with that episode. Like, how do we deal with people that are, are down on their luck? And my favorite actor, one of my favorite actors, Dick Miller, who you would know. Hang on, let me see if I can find a photograph of him. Plays the character, a character to represent people not realizing and not caring about the plight of others. And, they like, here we go. So here he is in the show Deep Space Nine. But basically, he represented these characters that were just like, screw them, they're losers, man, whatever. So there's Dick Miller. You might recognize him from all kinds of 80s fare.
Gremlins.
But what?
Gremlins.
Yes, exactly. He's in Gremlins. But he's basically, he's just representing these characters that don't realize that, the otherness, the dehumanizing of other people, to say they're just losers and whatever, we shouldn't feed them or care for them or whatever. Of course, by the end of the episode, he's like, oh my God, how could we actually let this happen? What the hell? How was I so blind to this? And, but yeah, I think we're going to have to go through that exact thing. We're going to have to think about basic income. We have to actually give a shit about people who are actually in the episode. The Deep Space Nine characters actually make a comment because they're walking by people, and the doctor character Bashir is like, the dude we just walked by is obviously mentally ill. He's got schizophrenia. Why is he out on the street? And I'm thinking, well, I live in Vancouver, and that happens all the time. You walk by people that are obviously having conversations with themselves, that are quite involved, and it's like, oh, well, that individual must.
Until you realize that they're an Apple product user.
That's the show, boys and girls. But that's the thing, right? Like, and the conversation is basically that we need to care for people who are down on their luck. We need to care for people. We need to house them. We need to feed them. It's the same, right now, all over North America, people are bitching and moaning about the homelessness problem. I'm like, well, for
that's
the
me.
most part,
That's me.
it's
Yeah,
a fairly easy way to solve that.
Trying to encourage every teenager to go to university to study, effectively. Whose fault is it that there's all these problems? Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it? And so we're really good at pointing the finger and saying whose fault it is. Nobody knows how to build a fucking house.
Yeah, well, exactly. We need 3D printers to build some concrete houses and then put people in them. But I mean, but that's sort of the pie in the sky way of solving that issue, right? There's a lot of other issues around it, but that's the thing, is that we have to deal with not just the roof over somebody's head. You need to care for that, that brain in the head as well. And are there, do we need to bring institutions back for people that require day-to-day care?
You know what? I'm 100% for, and this is going to sound a little weird coming from somebody who's, as theologically either inept or contemptuous as I am. I think we need to bring back the monastery we need to reintroduce the medieval institution of the monastery to modern life, because it is, I think, maybe what's missing for a lot of those people. They need somewhere to go. And that place might restrict some of their activities, to be fair. So it's not the kind of liberty that libertarians keep coughing about, but somewhere for people to go where they have food and shelter and can participate in a way that's meaningful and useful to the people around them.
Now, to
maybe
that point,
to a high degree, some of them maybe don't even, there are monasteries where nobody talks to anybody, right?
That's true.
Private contemplation.
Now, how do you actually get through to people who are like that character, who are like, they're complete losers? Why should I care for them? Why should they, they should just pull up their bootstraps, get a job, or whatever. Those, people that think like that, like, how do you solve that problem?
Well, here's the thing. There are always going to be people who say no matter what. And I got all kinds of sympathy for them if they have the power to fucking walk that line. If they can do that effectively, I got no problem with them. If they keep falling off, then maybe that's not the road for them. Like if they can't support themselves without help, then you need to figure out, okay, well, where does help come from? And if it comes from the government, okay, the government's going to put their own set of restrictive qualifications upon that. But what I'm saying is maybe there's something missing. And again, it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be denominational, if you see what I mean. It doesn't need to be Christian or Islamic or Judaic or Buddhist, but some type of system where somebody has something that they can join, whereby whatever piece of their soul that they're so desperate to protect, they can protect it until they're ready to talk to a counselor or some fucking thing, because that's probably what they really need. But maybe they don't. Maybe they just need their own space. They just need some way to do what they do and not get in anybody else's way. And maybe they figure out a way to make that work. I don't think we've got that situation right now. I don't know where you would go for that. I don't think drop-in shelters do that. I don't think CMHA in this neck of the woods, has those kind of solutions. Although I think more than other organizations that deal with the mentally ill, I think they're put it this way, having practiced in this area for the last year, the CMHA professionals that I've dealt with, I have a very high opinion of. They're all, trying their best to try to figure things out for their clients. Some of the provincially run ones, I'm less impressed by. I don't know what things are like in BC. Alan, can you speak to any of that?
Well, I don't know. It seems like in Victoria and Vancouver, there's a lot of mental health issues on the streets.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of services out there for them,
Yeah.
or they deny the services, and either we allow that to happen or we have to allow that to happen. I'm not too sure which. I think, when they shut down, was it people always talk about Shaughnessy? I think they shut it down in the 80s, and that put out a lot of people out onto the streets. But I think there's also sort of like this thing, like people, even with mental health issues, they still have rights.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm not talking about, and that's why I'm not talking about a governmental organization here.
Right.
I don't think a government would be in a position to deny them their rights.
Yeah.
I'm talking about something that's a bit more of an intermediary than that. Something that's sort of, and again, it's hard to know how you would describe such an organization, except as something as part of. I mean, if it's not an organized religion making it happen, then who? Because I don't know a lot of organizations that have a clear picture of what they're trying to do to help people. I mean, not that I think that the theological organizations, that their clear picture of what they're doing is necessarily a good picture, but at least they know what they're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Well, here in Victoria, we have like the Kool-Aid Society.
Okay.
Which is
which sounds a bit Jim Jones-ish, but go on.
Yeah, so it's a nonprofit, and they provide lots of things actually. So they provide like physical health care, mental health care, daycare, all that kind of stuff for people who are disadvantaged. But again, people have to want to use these services. They can't make anybody do it. And if somebody does go into to seek help through this, they can't force them to stay. If they decide they want to leave, they get to leave.
And again, here's my point about libertarians. I mean, if you want to walk the walk, I'm not standing in your way. Go and fucking walk that walk. But if you try to walk that walk and then you fall down and you need help again, how many times are you going to do this before I'm like, okay, yeah, look, you got to figure it out. You want to be free. Okay, go ahead and free yourself. But
like Shane, what he was talking about, some guy's walking around talking to himself, doesn't have an Apple product. It clearly has some sort of a mental, like a serious mental health issue. At what point does this person, not have the right to refuse care for themselves?
Well, okay, and here's a little bit of a nuance that I've only been reflecting on over the last week. It's still very unpolished. I think it will offend a lot of people, but I guess what I'm saying is that I'm talking about an institution that's a little bit like a cross between a monastery and a debtor's prison. Which is to say that, if you cannot figure it out how to fucking pay your way out of that thing, then you deserve to be there. And until you can figure your shit out such that you can pay your way out and thrive and prosper on your own, yeah, maybe you're still kind of, sort of stuck there.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that people who care a lot about liberty would hate very much. It's the sort of thing that people who care a lot about human rights would hate very much. But if you care about the sort of people that are actually on the street, fucked out of their minds, trying to figure out how to save themselves and are in desperation, I think I'm not talking complete nonsense. I'm just going to float that. Yeah. I mean, it's I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying I'm not completely off point here.
No, I think there needs to be a point where if your behavior gets to a certain point and you're living on the streets, that somebody should.
Evidently, the rest of society is paying for it anyway. Let them at least pay for it in a way that solves or at least advances, solving the problem rather than having it just completely nightmarish and chaotic and miserable for everyone. The people trying to help and the people who are not getting the help that they need.
Yeah. So Shane's on the phone here, apparently.
Yeah. I just saw a clip from. I think that was David Corey's wife. Was it?
Oh,
I'm assuming maybe it might be David or his wife on the phone. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
But which cool either way. Hello, Merry whatever is it? New Year's. It's not fucking Halloween, is it?
No, it's not. No. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all that jazz.
Yeah.
Shane's looking a bit like Chun-Li over there with the buns.
I love it. Yeah. Now. Speaking of buns, have you watched Scream Queens?
No.
Do you realize that one of the actresses in that is the daughter of Carrie Fisher?
Oh, really?
Yes. And so the buns, Carrie Fisher's famous buns.
Yeah.
Her daughter wears earmuffs throughout the series with no explanation except that she's Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Right.
It is way cool. At least I think. But
yeah.
And she's so cute, as was Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in the day, totally. All right, Shane.
Sorry, no, Shane. If you're gonna post stuff, you got to actually post it. We're only getting glimpses of what you're posting here. Please post it properly.
Hello, boys. Sorry. A friend of the show, David Corey, is trying to log in to join us, but he's having technical issues. So he has figured out how to do this, and he's also logged in as his wife. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
okay.
that's okay.
So say hello to Dave, boys, because he's trying to get in here.
Always a pleasure. Nice that you joined us. Happy New Year.
Exactly.
Best
Happy
to you.
New Year. So, but sorry, I've been trying to help Dave. I have not been following the conversation. How are we doing?
We're doing well. We're talking about your body odor and how Brian Kitten is.
It's a very powerful subject.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that really, really is something that I think should be discussed more often.
We think that if we could bottle that, we could sell it to Carrie Fisher's daughter.
You know, to be honest, she would be very happy to receive such things. I'm trying to remember her name, Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Billy Lord.
Billy Lord, right? Yeah, that's right. I've never. What was the show she's in? You were talking about
Scream Queens.
I've never seen it. But, I have
what?
not.
You've never seen Scream?
I know of it.
I know
it has
of it. I've
a
never
bunch of
seen it.
people in it that I know.
No. What you need to do is watch it.
Yes.
Because it is fucking rad.
Oh, sweet.
Above and beyond the excellent casting, which includes, I would note, not only Carrie Fisher's daughter,
I lost Dave.
Sorry? Oh,
I lost Dave. I was trying to get him in here, but he's having some issues.
Jamie Lee Curtis is in it.
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis. Yes, that's actually that's why I know of the show at all, because I saw her advertising it at one point a couple of years ago. And but yeah, so because she's like the classic Scream Queen.
And
so is what's her face? Who else is in that? The daughter of another famous actor. I'd have to look it up. I don't actually know. What's her name? She's like a rom-com sort of actress as well. I think she's the one. Yeah, she's the one she's the one on the poster. Oh my lord, what is her name? Billy Lord's in it. Kirstie Alley was in it. Oh wow, Jamie Lee Curtis. Emma Roberts. I guess she's a lead. She is the. I think is she the daughter of Eric Roberts? Yeah, Eric Roberts. Yeah. So Eric Roberts, of course, being one of those actors that has been in everything for a long time. But anyway, I thought I'd throw that out there. So
So guys, this cold is starting to get the better of me now.
I was just going to ask you how you're feeling because we've been going for like an hour and a half, so it's probably time for us to go to bed.
All right. David Corey is not going to make it on.
He is not going to make it on. No,
he's given up.
So
Dave,
that's okay.
Dave, Happy New Year and best to
Excellent.
You and yours. Yep. Okay. Good.
So thank you all for watching.
Dude.
We will be back next week or so, and I predict that it'll be awesome. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for hanging out. See you next time. Bye.